the Research Chair in Global Food Security. And the PIR Live Event today, we'll be discussing food security and sustainability around the world with Evan. We have two classes, well, one class right now, we're expecting a second one. Joining us live today, we have some grade 3s and 6s in Toronto. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Do you guys want to quickly introduce yourselves?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Brett Anderson, and this is Ms. Moskowitz, grade 3 class is from Toronto. And I'm Lauren Anderson,
Thanks.
Great. So glad that you guys could join us today on this call. I'd also like to welcome everyone who's watching this live on the internet right now and remind them that they can tweet their questions to Evan using the AskPIR hashtag throughout the live event. And if you have room in your tweet, include your name or city, and we'll give you a shout out. So I look forward to getting to some of the questions in just a moment, but first I'll turn it over to thanks for joining us today on World Food Day.
Thank you very much. I can make sure you guys can actually hear me. Can you hear me? Can you just nod your heads? Because I can't really hear anything right here. The connection's kind of choppy. And can you see the slide that I put up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Your audio has just come back on. Okay, so the thing I'd really like you to look at here is this graph that shows how many people are in the world. And the bottom of it, you see the years, 1950, 1960, all the way up to the present. And then this line going up showing 3 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion. Can anybody tell me how many people using this graph are in the world right now?
9 billion.
Anybody?
No. Go down. Lauren?
About 6 billion or
Yeah.
7 billion.
Yeah, pretty close. We're somewhere around a little over 7 billion right now. How many people are on this planet in about 40 years, say in around the year 2050?
How many in 2050, guys?
So there's a little guy there with a yellow shirt on, I can see.
Yeah. Say it again. Or you can say it.
9 billion. 9 billion there would be.
9 billion people. All right, so what do you think we're going to have to do if there's all that more people in terms of food?
Abby?
A lot of people are going to start getting like more hungry, and we're going to need to raise food to help those people.
If we're going to need all this more food, is food going to get more expensive or less expensive?
More.
Yeah, it's going to get a lot more expensive. So I'd like you to imagine food gets more expensive. How do you think people are going to react? Or how maybe do you think your families would react if the food that they were eating suddenly became a lot more expensive? So your lunches suddenly cost like $10 or $15 instead of $3 or $4 to pack. What do you think would happen? How do you guys react?
Maybe happy if it became more expensive, or not so happy?
And you change the kinds of food you were eating?
So yeah, she said a bag of oranges cost $3 in 1950. That was before my time at 1950, and now it costs
$12.
$12?
Yeah, like 12 or something like 6 oranges. Yeah, a lot. What? Now it's like, okay.
Well, exactly. I mean, and do you think the kinds of food that you end up with your lunches or you have for dinners would change?
Yeah, because like now the like processed food are cheaper now, and like the healthy food prices are going up.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite
foods?
What's your favorite food? Put up your hands. Brett, say it loudly. Fruit. Fergus, say it loudly.
Fruit.
Come up. Yeah, I didn't know that one. Come quickly. Quickly.
Fruit inside.
Yeah, say it.
Right there.
What's your favorite food?
Come here.
Fergus, quickly.
Fergus, right there. Go. Well, I like a lot of things, but one of them is the same as Brett, but I also like vegetables and carrots for some reason.
Yeah.
They like healthy stuff, yeah.
Interesting you say that, because a lot of our carrots come from called California. And California right now is having a really bad drought. So all the food that's coming out of California is getting more expensive. So we're thinking we're going to have a lot more expensive vegetables in the next little while because of this really bad weather that California is having. What other kind of favorite foods do people have?
Kevin. Big boy.
I forget.
Yeah, Henry. Steak.
Right.
That's a good one. That's one of my favorites too. But that's going to get really expensive probably in the future because cows eat a lot of grain, and so we feed cows grain, and the grain prices go up, then the steak prices are probably going to go up a lot. So meat prices are probably going to go up. What else? Let's get one more, and then I'll go on. So I've got some pictures I want you guys to look at. Eggs. Eggs are like meat, right? Because the chickens all get fed grain like corn or wheat or soybeans, and then as those commodities, those crops are called commodities. As those commodities get more expensive, then our eggs and our chickens are going to get more expensive too. I'd like to show you guys a couple of pictures here. Can you see these two? There's two photographs of two meals here. Can you guys see that? Sorry, I can't hear you again. Can you? Is that a yes? Nod your head if you can see it. Yeah. All right. Good. Excellent. Okay. So this is two pictures that taking of two meals in a country in Africa, and the first picture was taken in 2008, and this is the picture on the top left, and it's the amount of food you could buy for $1. And can somebody tell me on the picture on the left what they see in terms of the meal? What are people eating here in Africa?
Well, it looks like it kind of got smaller, like the amount of food there, and like there's not as many things, like different types of food.
Okay, so let me explain the picture on the right then. The picture on the right is how much food you could buy in the same market for the same amount of money 1 year later. And in between these two pictures being taken, food got a lot more expensive. So you're right, there's a lot less food, and it's different kinds of food. So can somebody spot missing on the picture in the right?
So what food is missing? Riley, do you what's missing? Look at the picture. Or Alyssa?
The meat.
Did you hear that? Come closer.
I did hear that. So what's the meat there you're looking at?
Can you guys see what the meat is?
It's actually not meat. What do you think it is?
I can't even see it from here. Hey, Henry?
It's probably I can tell you. That's okay. Yeah, I can't tell how good a picture.
Okay, that was the grade 7 and 8s joining us. Welcome.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we pause for a second and introduce the grade 7s and 8s there, Anne?
Sure, we'll just wait for them to finish setting up just for a sec. Hello. Can the grade 7 and 8s hear me?
We can't hear them.
Can the grade 7 and 8s that just joined hear me okay?
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes, I can. Welcome.
Can you guys be quiet, please?
Thanks for joining.
I'm really sorry for the delay. My workhorse, my computer died this morning, and so I've been struggling to get a computer to work, and I'm finally in. So this is.
Welcome. We're glad you're here.
So I can get the microphone on the computer to work, so I'm going to be muting the USB mic while Dr. Fraser's talking.
Okay.
So
all right.
I'll set that up now.
Okay, so we'll go back to Evan, who was just describing these the different foods that people are eating in Africa.
We're still trying to figure out what it is. Did you guys figure out what it was?
It looks like a bowl of seeds.
Yeah? So, Abby, what do you think it is?
It almost looks like a bowl of seeds.
Are you right that time?
No, it's actually dried fish. a little bag in the middle of the left-hand picture is a little bag of dried fish. And this is really important because it's fish, yeah. And it's really important because that's the source of protein that this family was eating. Protein is a really important part of your diet. And we get lots of protein in Canada because we typically eat a lot of meat or a lot of eggs or a lot of cheese. But the dried fish in this family is the only real source of protein. And so you move to the picture on the right after food got really expensive a few years ago, and there's no protein. It wouldn't actually be that healthy a diet. Because it's good to eat lots of vegetables, but you've got to have at least some protein in your diet. What do you think your body needs protein for? Do you guys in grade 3 know that? I hope the kids in grade 7 know that. But let's talk about the guys in grade 3. Do you know what you need protein for?
Have your hand if you know what you need protein for. Yep. Daniel. Big voice.
To get stronger and
energy, you said? Yeah, energy, stronger. What?
Yeah.
For your blood. Good for your protein. Yep, Charlie.
It builds up your muscles.
Builds up your muscles. Lauren?
I also noticed in the picture that there's like one less tomato and one less of the vegetable and one less of almost everything in that picture.
Yeah, there's a lot less, right? So between 2008 and 2010, people in Africa had experienced much more expensive food. Their food prices went up really high. And they lost the protein in their diets, or a large amount of the protein in their diets moved. I'm going to show you a couple more pictures now, and I'd like you to look at these. These are kind of fun. And the picture on the left shows you a family from the United States with 1 week worth of groceries for their house. And the picture on the right shows you a family from Africa with 1 week's worth of groceries. And what do you see, what sort of differences do you see between the Revis family, they're the family from the U.S., and the Natomos family, that's the family from Africa? What kind of differences are you seeing?
We still see like the
tomato picture.
Yeah, with the
It has
dried
changed
fish.
on our screen. There it is.
Oh, there you
It just
So they're caught up?
Wow.
Okay, so I'll start again. The Natomos family is on the right, and they're from Africa, and that's 1 week worth of groceries for them. And the Revis family is on the left, and they're from North America. They're people sort of like us. They live in Canada or the U.S. And that's 1 week's worth of groceries for them. Can someone sort of describe what the difference is between the two week groceries are?
Do you want it from our class?
I'll let the teachers organize how to do this.
No, we're just going
Well,
up to
can
7.
you hear from the other class?
Natalie, what do you notice? Big voice, stand up and tell.
In the right, they don't have a house and like they don't have too much food, and then in the left, they have a house and they have a lot of food.
Yeah, I think the people in front of their house, I think that's their house in the background. So I think they have a house, but I agree there's not as much food. Absolutely not. What else do you see that's different about these two pictures?
Henry, grade 6?
The picture on the left has way more food, and they're probably about kind of the same amount of money, except the picture on the left probably has more money, despite the fact that they have way more food than the picture on the right.
Well, I'll tell you about that. That's interesting. The number on the left, the Revis family, they spend $85 each week for each person, and there's only 4 people in the family. The people on the right, the Natomos family, they spend $1.75 per person per week. And look at the number of people in their family. Can one of the grade 3s count the number of people in the Natomos family?
Who can count a grade 3 this time? Sarah, can you count it and see?
I don't know anything about that.
Well, just how many people are in the family first? Who can count all the people they see down here? Brett? He said 7. Is he right? It's hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 7 as well. Do you see 9?
Oh, I think there's more than
Are we
7.
right?
Five,
I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think there's 15 people in the Natomo family. You're probably missing the babies because you can't see them. There's a bunch of babies there.
We can now see the little kids a bit, right?
Oh, yeah. I think the baby.
So there's 15 people in the Natomos family. And there's 4 people in the Revis family. What do you notice that's different about the kinds of food they're eating? Or even what the foods look like?
Daniel?
The one in the left-hand corner looks kind of like junkies.
Junk food?
Yep. No, not junkies.
I agree. I think the American family has a less healthy diet, even though they have a lot more money and a lot more food. I think they have a less healthy diet because there's a lot of pop and there's a lot of chips and there's a lot of stuff like that going on.
Maybe it's like their lucky day and then just get like a lot of treats and then that's all.
Oh, it's their lucky day, so they get treats. What else do you guys know? Is there anything else about the food?
The American family, the family has has all 4 food groups, but the American family has candy.
They love junk.
Candy.
They all love pop and sugary
right.
stuff.
I love junk food.
So there's a bunch of things going on here. First of all, do you think it's fair?
Do you guys think it's fair?
That's probably what you prefer to live with.
Who would you prefer to live with? So the family at the top there, or the family below? If you could have the food. Which one? Put up your hand if you're at the top. Put up your hand at the bottom. Not so much.
I kind of would like to live with one just because
It's healthier.
Healthier.
Yes. So someone said the only reason they would want the bottom food is because it's healthier, but they'd rather live on the top because there's more food.
You know what? I completely agree. I'm with you on that one. What do you think? So this is the way the world works right now. About 1 in the planet have trouble because they eat too much or they're either overweight or obese. And about 800 million people on the planet don't get enough food. So think about that. You know, we have 7 billion people on the planet right now, and about 1/7 of them, approximately, have too much food, and about 1/7 of them have too little food. Isn't that's a crazy situation we find ourselves in. I'm going to show you another slide. It'll just take me a second to get it, but maybe because it's... Now tell me, I just put a map of the world up. Tell me when the map of the world shows up. Have you seen it? Have you see a map of the world yet?
Not quite yet.
We're still waiting.
All right. So I'm just going to tell you, a map of the world is going to show up in a second. And this is an important map because it shows some countries where people actually got so upset because the food system is so unfair that they rioted. Does anyone know what rioting means?
It's like a big mess up and everything angry and stuff. And like there could have been a riot in Brazil. It wasn't.
Yeah, Vancouver.
They got so mad that they didn't win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, there was a big riot in Vancouver, wasn't there, a few years ago about a hockey game?
Vancouver. And that happened. They lit cars on fire.
So can you guys see the map yet? Or is it shown up yet?
Yep. I can see it.
You got it. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So can somebody maybe tell me a few of the names of the countries that are marked in red on this map?
Brett, do you see one?
Mexico.
Mexico's on there.
Hey,
Lauren,
Mexico. Well done, Brent.
Yeah. Lauren, do you know one?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, but there's a place in South America.
South America. So
And lots of places in Africa.
Tons of places in Africa. You're right. What about Europe? Do you see any countries in Europe? What's the name of the country that looks like the big boot sticking into the Mediterranean Sea?
Did the grade 7 and 8 know this one?
We get China.
Our geography is
Thailand. Like a big
Thailand.
Italy. Thailand.
I'm going to be Italy.
South Korea.
So we've got Italy in Europe, and we've got a bunch of countries in Asia, including India and China. So this map shows us that over the last people have actually rioted over food. And I'm going to put a couple pictures on top of the map now. Hopefully they will show up. And they show you some pictures of some of these riots. And these are pictures taken in the Middle East. So that's the North Africa and the Eastern Mediterranean. At the moment, which we now call the Arab Spring. Does any of the grade 7s or 8s want to explain to us what the Arab Spring is? I think I see somebody. You guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got audio back. Does anybody know what the Arab Spring is? Maybe we can get the other class involved. I'm not sure if that's possible technically.
Yeah, they have to use a headset, so it's just taking them a moment.
Okay.
Okay, so can you hear me okay? Dr. Fraser, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yep, that's great.
So when you did ask, sorry, yeah, I am having technical problems, but in any case, so when you did ask about the country that there was somebody who did say it's Italy. Now, with regard to your question about Arab Spring, I have mentioned it, but we haven't talked about it in detail. So, but we are looking and listening. There are. Okay, so sorry.
Okay,
go on.
Why don't I give you 2 seconds on the Arab Spring? So it began in 2011, and it was a series of started as riots that moved up into actual revolutions where people decided to violently change the government. They experienced some bad dictatorships for the last 20 or 30 years, and they then decided enough was enough and they wanted to have different forms of government. The beginning of the Arab Spring was people extremely angry over expensive food. So all this stuff we've been talking about for the last 25 minutes. And people began by going into the streets waving something. And if you look carefully, maybe some of the grade 3s can look carefully at these 2 photographs I've put up and tell me, what are the people in the riot, in the protest? I see some hands going up on the grade.
Henry?
I see a guy with a baseball bat or something.
It's not a baseball bat. I don't know how good quality it is. If you look closely.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a bat. You know, Lauren?
It looks kind of like a baguette.
Yeah, baguette.
Ah, well spotted. So in both of those photographs, the gentlemen who are protesting are waving a French baguette around as like a symbol of how they are. They don't have bread anymore, so they're taking bread out into the streets and using that as a symbol of how angry they are. And this was the beginning of the Arab Spring, which is this very, very violent uprising where people took to the streets angry about how much their food was costing, and that then led to the governments in a number of countries in the Eastern Mediterranean, sort of east of that country, Italy, in that boot-shaped country, actually falling to pieces. So I think left. I would like to finish off here by asking you guys a question. What do you think we can do about this problem of rising population, more expensive food, unfair distribution, or the fact that some people have too much and some people have too little, and this anger that people feel about food? What do you think we could do about it? And I'll let the teachers facilitate this discussion, because I'm not sure how to do that.
We came up with one idea, or at least how our school can help. Do you want to come up, Dan? Daniel and say if they, this is one of my students came up with an idea. I don't know. It's a start. Introduce who you are. My name is Daniel. Down a bit so he does not looking at your shirt. There you go.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi. My name is Daniel, and for
distribution, helping with distribution.
What?
Keep going. Could every
school hold a bin, so if you don't finish your lunch, you can put it in the bin, and a truck can take it the next day.
Did you hear that?
Hey, there's an organization in Toronto called there's Second Harvest, and there's the Toronto Food Bank, and if you guys got organized, it'd have to be food that you hadn't started. Like, they wouldn't take half-eaten sandwiches and half-eaten apples, because that'd be kind of gross. But if there was like a granola bar or a pudding or a cheese stick or something like that wasn't opened, then the food banks would probably be quite interested in coming by and collecting that stuff. So I think that's a really good idea, and you could easily call the food bank, and that would help distribute or within Canada.
This is
Lauren.
okay. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So I actually gave my 7s and 8s an assignment yesterday to prepare for this, and there were lots of interesting ideas, and some questions came from that. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And one of the questions that came up today was a really interesting. It was how can I be sure that, and this is one of my students. How can I be sure that the food that I'm sending is actually going to get to the people who need it?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. Often within, like for food banks, you can actually, in Canada, so in Toronto, Guelph, Ottawa, Vancouver, you can actually go to the food bank and see. And the food banks I work with are very, very good about that. When it comes to international food delivery, that's really a problem, because often Canadians give food that goes into Africa, and all is the price that farmers get for their food on African markets. So strangely, that giving direct food aid from Canada to Africa is actually can be quite a problem. But there's an organization called the Canadian Food Grains Bank, which takes extra Canadian food, sells it on markets, and then they invest that money on things like schools or agricultural programs in places like Ethiopia to develop the capacity of people and the economies and things like that in Africa. And that's actually than directly dropping off food charity from North America to Africa. So sell the food here and then make some movies.
It's very interesting. The other thing we did yesterday was we watched the intro video on Feeding 9 Billion, and although it's really, really beautifully put together, and they said, yeah, he's a really good artist, and I said, well, usually it's not the narrator who's doing the art, but still. And when you got into the like that 4-part, the distribution is pretty straightforward. And of course, the ideas about the economics of it is a bit more complicated, but I'm sure I can explain that to them a little bit more later on.
If you're interested, I published an article this morning called Manifesto for a something or other, and it's in the Guardian newspaper. So if you just Googled my name, Manifesto, and the Guardian newspaper, we present the 10 solutions for how to solve the global food crisis.
Fantastic. Sorry, the connection. My connection has such a huge lag time.
The last thing I'll say, because I see we're out of time, and I'm sure Anne wants to wrap us up, is today I'm launching a graphic novel about global food security. So if you go to my website, feeding9billion.com, you can see 3 chapters of my new comic book about global food security, and that might be an interesting resource for the students.
I read
That's
a really exciting project.
It is really exciting, and I feel like in particular with the grade 7s who study ecosystems in this unit, that it's a really good fit. It's a harder fit with the grade 8s and studying cells, but I'm sure we'll find ways of bringing it in over the course of the year.
Sounds good.
Great. I'm really glad, despite our technical difficulties, I'm really glad we were able to connect. And
Me too.
I don't know, perhaps we'll I can tell my technical difficulties are having an effect on, because I can't hear anything from the uplink right now.
Yeah, no, I'm having trouble hearing. And
okay,
I think we're also out of time, so.
Yeah, we went a little bit over time today because we got a late start, but I think we had an amazing discussion. I'd like to thank you very much, Evan, for that great presentation and the discussion you led with the grade 3. Thank you all so much for joining today, and thanks to everyone who watched the live stream.
And what do we say? Thank you.
So much,
Bye, everyone. See you
Bye-bye.
next time.
Wave goodbye.